with Mr. T, with that, it was at the Palladium in Manhattan. It was at a nightclub. I never sparred a day in my life, but I used to get in some street scraps. And my buddy, Jim McCluskey, was a boxer. And he goes, Matt, stand like this. You're less of a target. Okay. That was so not square, stand like this. That was my boxing lesson. So they announced me as the weightlifting pizza deliverer from East Meadow, Long Island. And the first guy I fought with was a platoon leader from Desert Storm or some shit. But we were like the smallest guys there because it was all 175 and up. And I weighed in with clothes on and shit. So I beat that guy's ass. And then, nice kid, but I beat him up. And that's when I knew I kind of had some power. The next guy was a tough Irish guy from Jersey where I took a beating, but I beat him. And at one point, I'm not proud about it, he was on all fours and I hit him behind the head. I was like in a rabid dog. I didn't know what I was doing. And some people were booing, but they let me win with that. And then my last fight, I lost, but they put me in there too soon. And from this day, the jaw, they said, wasn't broken, but I couldn't eat pizza afterwards. To this day.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I got my jaw busted, man. So my mouth was like, and I had the worst concussion I had out of my whole UFC career since, you know? I had the worst concussion ever after that. You know?
Wow. You fought 3 times in one?
I fought 3 times. I won twice, and I lost the third one.
It's all boxing?
It was just boxing. Just hands up. Yeah, it was on Entertainment Tonight. They showed a clip. I remember Mary Joan Hart was like, oh, and they showed me, I think they actually showed me getting pushed through the ropes. But yeah.
And you never trained boxing before?
I never trained boxing before. My father used to hold mitts for me a little bit, and I did some Wing Chun Kung Fu, which is not the best, you know?
No.
That 1-inch punch my ass.
What made you want to do that?
I was a scrappy kid. I was not to be proud of it. If I had jiu-jitsu, I always say if I had like a school like I had now, my school is my sanctuary. But if I had something back then, I felt I was like an angry kid, and I used to fight a lot as a kid. It just is what it is.
When did you get into jiu-jitsu though?
I got into jiu-jitsu after a street fight kept me out of the military. And that is a fight that changed the course of my life, where I was delivering pizzas at Pizza Amore around the block from my house in East Meadow, Long Island. And I was 17 years old, and it was 1992. First UFC came out in 93. So when you're a tough guy around that age, what do you do after high school? You're not going to college. You're either doing military or jail. That's what I seen all the tough guys before me. That's where they ended up. But I figured I'd go Marines, Marine Recon. I was going to go that kind of route because I was a gung-ho young kid and I didn't want to be a fucking loser. So I ended up finishing the last 6 months I was still in school at the time, but I was on home tutoring, home school because of fights and stuff, but they had me finishing off. But I was on delay entry program. My parents signed papers where I was at 17 after I got my diploma. I was going to go into the Marines early because I figured that'd be my route, you know. So I'd be jogging with them in the weekends at the park, and I was learning all their little chants and shit, the fucking thing about your gun and all that stuff from Full Metal Jacket. And then this guy, I got into a street thing with this guy. I had a girlfriend of mine I was dating for a while. Her best friend lived on the block with her. It was her best friend's older brother, which is his juice head, this guy, Mike. Dickhead. I never liked him. I'd be over the house. He was one of those guys, I'd see him. Hey, what's up, Mike? Look at you. Go talk to somebody else. I'd be like, all right, I know this guy's a cunt. So fucking, you know, I knew sooner or later I'd probably have something with this guy. So I called up that house looking for my girlfriend, and then he answered the phone, and we got into something over the phone, some, you know, typical shit. And next thing you know, my girlfriend shows up with that girl, the sister. Oh, Mike's coming. He's going to come down here. He's got a bunch of guys. They got bats. All right, get out of here. I told my boss, hey, Nick, we might have some company. He's like, all right, we're closing up soon. Now, I'm leaving the spot, locking the door. My boss, all of a sudden, 2 cars pull up, park on the street. There's like 12 guys running over, 12, 13. So I'm like, all right, here we go. So my boss keeps it even. He comes in with the fucking devil in his eyes. Now, this is over bullshit. This is what we call roid rage. And fucking, this guy's in a fucking wife beater. I'm going to fucking kill you. And they kept it even. So back to my Wing Chun days. Wing Chun is fucking bullshit. Listen, but I started off with a chain punch right down the middle, bopped him in the fucking head, and then he got me around the neck, cheek to cheek. Okay? I didn't know any jiu-jitsu. He's got me squeezing my fucking neck, you know. I get him by the head. I get his ear, you know.
You Mike Tyson him?
Before the Mike Tyson, yeah. So, you know, afraid for my life, you know. I had to bite him. And then, so the ear comes off very quickly. Just for the people out there that are like, oh, I want to try my latest jiu-jitsu. Go to your local Naga, all right? Don't go to your local grad. Don't test any of your jiu-jitsu on the street. You'll lose a nose, you'll lose a cheek, you'll lose an ear. And I'm being honest with that. It came off very quick. And then, he got his nose busted also. And then I got pushed off him, and my pizzeria boss jumps in front. It was an even fight. He gets hit. His nose is broken. So now they get him, his brother gets his ear. They get him out of there. Police come. You know, my father was on the job. I tell him, look, these guys came to my work. You know, I defended myself. I take a ride over to the hospital. They put me in cuffs. They go, all right, look, you don't got a mark on you. This guy has a broken nose and no ear. So you're going to jail. So I go to jail. My parents meet me there. They were at a wedding. It was a fucking crazy night, you know, and I'm facing charges for a felony for disfigurement. Now, I don't want to plead guilty to shit. This guy looked for trouble. I got my mother nervous. I could be facing 7 years upstate, even as, you know what I mean? So, because, you know, you get people, I want to go to trial. I'm like, look, fuck that. This guy came looking for trouble. He found it. You know what I mean? I wasn't out looking for this fucking guy. I'm at my job, and the guy came, me and my boss, you know? So, you know, I pleaded guilty to a Class A misdemeanor, you know, but it was supposed to be a youthful offender, a sealed file, which is all bullshit. Because anytime you put my name in a computer, that shit comes up. So, you know, I got that because that original charge was a felony. I remember my recruiter was a short little guy. He was a nice guy. I forgot his first name, but he was from Georgia, right? From down south. And I remember I went into after this whole thing went down, I seen him. He goes, well, Mr. Serra, it'd be my honor to be in a foxhole with you any day, but I got my superiors. And I'm like, what the fuck? I go, why? I go, this is the Marines, man. I go, what the fuck, man? I go, this guy came looking for trouble, and it didn't matter. They didn't accept me. So I was like, fuck, man, what the fuck do I do now? Back in the day, they had something called Black Belt Magazine. Right? They don't have that shit now. This is I'm showing my age now. This is fucking, there was no social media. Yeah. Oh shit, there's a jiu-jitsu, a Brazil. Now I was familiar with these things called the Gracie in Action videos, all right? It's dojo challenges and some Vale Tudo, means anything goes, fights from Brazil, of style versus style, jiu-jitsu versus other styles. This is pre-MMA, you know what I mean? So I'm looking at all these jiu-jitsu, and I thought I was a tough guy. And I'm looking at all these little Brazilian guys taking these guys down and mounting them, and these guys not getting off. Now, and at this point, I fought a tough man, you have that town toughie. I was kind of that town toughie, you know. And I'm like, and you always pride yourself in being like, dude, like I'm not tapping the strikes, not like that, but like I'm not getting, somebody punches me. I don't know. I love Joe. I'm not being a dick. I
count that. Whatever he say, I count that.
I know you got that. I just like to have fun, but George kicked my ass in the rematch, you're saying that. But my point is I could take a punch and be like, yo, man, I got my jaw busted. I didn't stop. But I'm like, yo, I don't want, if I run into one of these little Brazilian guys, I'm not getting them off me. I go, that's brutal. Mm-hmm. There was one with Royce Gracie, was this guy, JAXXON Dillashaw, and a challenge match where he just mounted him, just beating the fucking shit. I go, dude, I need to learn this shit. I don't care. I don't know what I'm doing with my life, but I need to learn this shit. So I took a ride with a road trip with a buddy of mine, Jody, and we took a ride to Danbury, Connecticut, which was a few hours away from me. And it was Horian Gracie and Royce Gracie. And it was 1992, and they did a seminar at this guy, Ron Kalowski, this Jiu-Jitsu guy, had a school gymnasium, mats down. And I'm like, look, man, before this, I had a Wing Chun dummy in my garage, and I had some shit like that. And I'm like, there's also these forms, and there's karate, there's katas. When I'm doing this, I'm like, wait a minute. This whole thing is getting guys in a position where you could fucking beat them up or get them in a position to break their fucking limbs. That's this art? I'm in balls deep. I'm in.